everybody online trying to teach or sell or present themselves as an expert really puts on that facade that they never make any mistakes. They know what they're doing. Yeah, back in the beginning, they slept in their car and it was so hard, but now they figured out the answer and everything is super easy for them. I'm going to be a little scandalous today, and I'm going to tell you not everything is easy for me. I have some very big problems, especially looking here in the security and investigation world where I am a best-selling author and a course creator and all that. But that doesn't mean that I've got it all figured out. There are some chinks in the armor. There are some weaknesses. If you feel like you've got some weak spots in your game, stick around. I'm going to tell you about two of mine and how I fix them and how that relates to you. Hi, this is Larry Kaye with ShadowAnyone.com. I'm the creator of the Investigator's Ultimate Guide series, which is premium private investigator training from someone who's been there and done that. I'm also a best-selling author. Look, here's the thing. I've got two spots that are ridiculously gaping holes in my skill set. One of them is I am terrible at identifying people by their faces. Like you hear people say all the time, oh, I'm bad with names, but I'm good with faces. I recognize you, but I don't remember your name. I'm exactly the opposite. I'm really good at names, terrible at faces. And so the weak spot for us, right? You're a private investigator, you're out doing surveillance, you see somebody comes out of the house and you look at the photo and you look at them and you look at the photo and is this my subject? Is this the person? That's very challenging for me. It's very difficult. And I usually have to base my identification on something else. And so there's the key that I want to share with you. If you've got a weak spot, like for me, identifying people, I compensate for that. Find the thing that allows you to compensate for that. So for example, on faces, I concentrate on that little, I don't know, what's that little divot beneath your nose, right above the upper lip. That's oddly distinctive in a lot of people if you really look at it and pay attention. Also the chin and a divot in the chin or a dimple in the chin, that can be a real thing for me. And then I have different spots on the face, ears, for example, also. And these are things that don't really change, right? I mean, you get hung up on a hairstyle or glasses or something, that can change easily on the person. So I know my weak spot, and so I compensate for it by having these very specific things I do. Now, there are other cheating methods, and I've taught some of these before. Like I'm a real big believer in watching the shoes of somebody because people tend not to change their shoes as often as you might think. It's not an iron cast rule. They do. Even I know homeless people that, they go through shoes like you or I would go through socks. They just constantly have different shoes for whatever reason. But shoes tend to stay the same or at least get repeated. By the way, if you're ever in pursuit of somebody, in a foot pursuit, you're chasing, trying to catch them, and they go around a corner, notice the shoes because they may shed a jacket or a hat, try to change the shirt, lose the shirt. And so you're looking for the guy in this particular shirt and you come around the corner and now he's just in a t-shirt. Is it the same guy? Watch the shoes because they cannot change the shoes during a foot pursuit. But there's just one of those weaknesses I have is I'm just terrible with identifying people by face. And I've compensated. And that's what you need to do with your weak area. I'll give you another very candid example for me. I don't know cars. Nothing about cars. Nothing. A yellow Maserati and a yellow school bus are exactly the same vehicle to me. I mean, obviously, I can tell the difference there, but a Toyota, a Honda, a Ford, a Chevy, all exactly the same cars to me. I have no distinction whatsoever on them. If they didn't have that little emblem by the trunk or on the grill, I would never be able to tell you what that car was. How do I compensate for this? Well, one, I know I'm just not going to recognize that car. I'm not going to be able to tell what it is. So I default to things that I clearly can. A color, the number of doors, whether it's got a hatchback. That gets me in the ballpark for starters. And even that 2-door, 4-door thing can help you in the heat of the moment. A car, you're doing surveillance again. Garage door comes out, a car backs out. Man, I don't know if that's a Honda, a Toyota, a Nissan. I just don't know. But it's dark gray 4-door. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. There's a much better chance that this is my subject than if it was a 2-door. And knowing that subtle little thing that a lot of people miss, 2-door, 4-door, gives me a clue in the right direction. But the real thing that helps me with vehicles is I'm really good at memorizing license plates and remembering license plates. Now, there's a sort of subtle art to this, and I've always said that I'm going to make a product to teach memory tricks and memorization to investigators and security professionals. Just never have gotten around to that. But there are some wonderful, effective tricks online, and I'm sure you can pick them up. But I'm really, really good with license plates, and I can memorize them quickly, and I can recall them quickly. And that compensates, especially for a lot of these like surveillances or process serving, that type of thing. I mean, yeah, a drug dealer might change his plates. It happens every now and then. People use stolen plates in crimes. Definitely with the crimes, you'll see that all the time. Plates will get changed, cars will get dumped. But most of the stuff, even in the crazy world that we live in with the infidelities and workers' compensation cheats and even a lot of crimes, the plates tend to stay the same. So I compensate for my weakness in not knowing vehicles by being very, very good at memorizing license plates. Wasn't always. I was, again, I've gone from 0 to 60 over the years. I started out, you know, my story started out as a part-time private security guard, putting on that polyester shirt and tugging on doorknobs to make sure they're locked. I went from there to state licensed private investigator, owning and running my own agency for 9 years. Look, I started out, and I used to be one of those guys that say, oh, I got a terrible memory. I got a terrible memory. First of all, stop saying that about yourself. If that's one of those stories you're telling yourself, you can totally remember a lot more than what you think you can, a freakish amount, if you learn a few tips and tricks about it. But now let's take it from me to you. What is the weak spot in your world? Saint Francis de Sales, he talked about this. When an enemy comes to attack a city, they walk around the city and they look, right? And they say, okay, well, the wall is built a little bit lower over there, and oh, the stones are falling apart over on this side, and that gate only has one guard, the others have 3. The enemy circles the city looking for the weak spots and knows where to attack. And St. Francis de Sales goes on to explain this is your spiritual life. You know where your weaknesses are. The devil's going to attack you there. You know it's coming, right? So sturdy up those places. Here in the investigative and security world, you know your weaknesses. You know if you have trouble with one thing or another. Now is the time to compensate for that. And I'm not saying you got to be great at everything that is a weakness for you. I think that's kind of a little bit of a misnomer. Play to your strengths for sure. But there are things that you basically fundamentally need to know. If you struggle with that, now is the time to find a fix and begin working towards it. So do a self-evaluation. What is your weak spot in security and investigations? Find a way to compensate for that. If you don't know where to, reach out to me. I will try to answer as many as I can of people and let them know here's a possible strategy you can have to approach your weakness and shore it up and make it a little bit stronger. Whew, that was a lot of stuff this week. Really important message for you as I end every week, and I think a lot of people miss it and a lot of people forget about it, but it is critically important. So I end the same way I always do, reminding you, do the right thing, even if it's the hard thing.